package is the birth package and then the postpartum package. But along from that, if you want me to do postpartum, I don't recommend a package, because if you don't know me throughout your birth and prenatal, it's just nice to get to know me kind of per session. And then if you click really well me for postpartum support, I can be there along the whole journey. I was asked, actually last time I was here, somebody asked me, do I just stop at 6 weeks? Because a lot of midwives, who has midwives in here? And then the rest OB. So a lot of midwives stop at 6 weeks. I never really stop. So if you have me for, say, 4 weeks postpartum, 4 months, down the line, you're like, Jess, I need some more support, I will still come to your home. So I don't really have a cutoff date per se. Do you guys have any questions about like what else a doula does, or anything that you might that might interest you or anything?
What do you do during the birth?
Yeah, so during, like, are you doing a birth?
I'm not doing.
You're doing a hospital. Yeah, for sure. So comfort measures is a huge one. So during my birth package, I do 2 prenatal visits, and we talk about your birth wishes. And during labor and during delivery, I'm there for comfort measures. So back pressure can be a big thing during labor. A lot of times for your birth wishes, my one client wanted, those flickering candles, like they're not real candles. She wanted those around the room and her light dim. So working closely with a nursing OB. Along that line, I do like I focus on your birth wishes. The reason why I do that is because a lot of times when people have a birth plan, things might not go to plan. So I always tell my clients, like, anything can happen, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we fulfill your wishes. So dim light, for example, 3 comfort measures that we go over prenatally. It's a little bit different when you're in labor, because you might not want them in labor. Prenatal, you're like, oh, this feels great on my back. And maybe in labor, like, just stop. That feels weird, or whatever, right? So just really making sure that I'm there to comfort you and your partner as well. Sometimes we leave out partners and spouses and kids, but I think it's so important we work together as a whole family. So comfort measures will also teach your partner as well. So pressure points in your back. Who has other kids in this room? Yeah, you do. So for back labor, if you've ever had any back labor, so counter pressure is a lifesaver. It's a temporary release, but it's a lifesaver to be able to learn. So just having your spouse there as well, because you're putting your whole body weight into it. So I can't do that for 6 hours of labor. So just making sure that I'm teaching your spouse too, different comfort measures to support that. I bring in tons of stuff, but we talk about what you would like me to bring in. Again, this is if I was able to go to the hospital, and this is for home births. A peanut ball. You guys ever heard of a peanut ball? It looks like a big exercise ball, but in the shape of a peanut. So it really helps open your pelvis when you're laying down in labor. It just creates releases a lot of tension in your lower back and in your pelvis area. Some other things that I bring are little balls to knead into your back. One thing that all my clients really love is to have like a really fine tip comb. And during contractions, I just brush that comb on your arm, and it just brings your mind not to the contraction. So basically, comfort measures, I want you to feel as comfortable as you can during labor, without intervening with things that I know you can do on your own. So I'm really there. Again, every client has their own needs and wishes, so all my services are different based on each client. So, but that's kind of like it in a nutshell. You guys have any questions about it? Like anything? That was a good question about going to the hospital. And I work very well with midwives, Grey Groups. Is that who you were feeling? Yeah. So I'm hoping that I'm in the hospital soon. We'll see what happens. But I call about like twice a month just to double check. But right now it's not happening.
So a doula isn't allowed in the hospital right now?
Not right now because of COVID, yeah.
Because of COVID, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a doctor in Hanover who's written a big letter on behalf of myself and other doulas, just in terms of like mental health and emotions. Like I think right now it's the biggest time to have a doula in the hospital.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, hopefully that goes somewhere. But again, it's Ontario wide, right? So but yeah, so I'm really pushing to have me in the hospital. because it's so hard for me to have you as a birth doula and like leave you at the doors of the hospital. Oh my gosh, I'm like, I try to hold together, but it's so hard because I want to be there for you guys like the whole way. And a lot of times too, I feel like I have a lot of clients who typically need me between, and you might resonate with this, between like 6 and 11 can be a witching hour for some little babies. So I spend a lot of time early evening into the night to help moms just get some sleep and just kind of rewind. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about anything specifically?
So what happens if you have a baby at the hospital right now and then you want to have you as a doula afterwards?
Yeah, so what I encourage is you to go home for the day, like for a full day, because everything is going to be new. And so it's typically the second day that I go to the homes, but that's just on average. So some clients want me there as soon as they get in their driveway. I'm like meeting them there, and that's totally okay too. But I do want them to feel comfortable with their own family, with their spouse, with the baby for the first day, and then I typically come in the second day. So because it is scary when you come home from the hospital and you have a car seat, and that's your baby. Like you can't take that baby back. That is your baby. So there's emotions are running high, which is totally normal. So typically, yeah, that's a good question. I'd say 2 days, 1 full day, and then that's when I typically get the call.
So day 3 is like the fourth stage.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a fact. Like that's all about hormones. That's where your hormone
and
levels.
milk comes in and it's just you don't have the support for that.
Exactly. So basically, the first night is typically a good night. Like typically, it's a good night. They're sleeping. I feel like on mom, it's more stress because the milk might have not come in yet. So colostrum is still fantastic for the baby, and you might not have a lot, but think about how small the bellies are. So and that's the thing I get from moms all the time. I don't think they're getting enough. They will be getting enough. Again, if there is an issue, then I will recommend a lactation consultant. So I have tons and tons of resources available to you. So I have taken multiple lactation courses, but I'm not a lactation consultant. So if I feel like there's mastitis or there's something going on, I will definitely recommend somebody. Again, if it's that bad, family doctor for sure, but a lactation consultant can definitely help you out after you've been diagnosed with, say, mastitis or block duct or something like that. So, and a block duct I can help with as well.
So I have another question.
Sure.
When you say like I will come and help, would you come and help only with the baby, or will you be helping with like siblings and everything? Because
absolutely.
I remember coming back from the hospital because I had to go to the hospital.
Yep.
But baby was born at home, so I was like, yeah, we're at home, everything's gonna be fine. And then something happened. So when I came back, it was like overwhelming because it was my 2-year-old and everything happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that support from somebody is really needed, especially like me that I don't have family close. So what do you help with? Like just the baby, or do you help with?
That's a great question. I help with the whole family. So a lot of times so for example, I have a client now, she has 2 twin boys. They are 4 years old, they'll be 5 soon. And then she has a newborn who's 3 weeks old. So when I go into her house, and again, we think of a plan together. So there's always something planned prior. And what I do at the end of each session, I write down everything we've kind of talked about, resources, and I give them, and I send them an email with everything we've talked about. So that way when we meet next time, no one really has to remember, especially for a new mom. I don't expect them to remember what we all talked about. So that being said, our plan for her is as soon as I walk in, I attend to the toddlers. Not toddlers, I guess they're 4, but I attend to the kids first. So I always bring educational activities, and I really understand their needs. So I don't just bring a bunch of stuff now. I bring things that they enjoy doing, and that's what mom wants me to do for the first half an hour. There's been some instances where her baby is crying, and she'll come to me to say, hey, Jess, can you help me with this? I've nursed, I've changed, I've done all of these things. But that's kind of our plan. When I walk into the house, I say hi to her, say hi to baby, and I attend to her boys for the first
So
little bit.
if you were to like, let's say, hire your services,
Yeah.
like, for me to feel comfortable, or for my boys to feel comfortable with
Yeah.
it, would you come before? Like, would you
Yes.
hire yourself before or after? Like,
Yeah, so I do free consultations, and those consultations I highly recommend you and your spouse and your whole family is there, just so they get to know me. And then our first visit is really me getting to know the family even more and knowing your kids' interests, seeing what they like to do. And then we think of a plan. So I always need something to do. So if baby is sleeping, I always ask mom and dad to make a to-do list for me. So if baby is sleeping, the toddlers are at their grandma's, I'm there, and there's no baby. A lot of the times, mom will just, we'll chat for half an hour, see how things are going, seeing how they're feeling. And then I always make sure there's a little list that she has out for me. So put in some laundry. So that way I'm there always doing something. And even if mom has to sleep for that hour and a half, sometimes I'll go in and I'll be with baby the whole time, only when mom has to nurse. So even if she's kind of sluggish and tired and she'll just kind of roll over and start nursing, she'll nurse for half an hour and then give baby back to me. So it really depends on how you're feeling and what your needs are at the time. And like needs can change over time as well, right? So nursing might be a need for the first few weeks, and then after the first few weeks, the need might be more sleeping support. So it can really vary in different areas. See the pool.
so how many weeks do you offer then, like those services? Like that's another.
Yeah, so my postpartum package, I could be wrong with the exact number, it's 15 visits. And then after that, it really depends on the needs too. So 15 times could mean at the beginning it's every 2 days because there's more support at the beginning. Or if you feel everything's going okay, you might want to minimize more time at the beginning and have more time at the end. So I'm really flexible with schedules. I do need to know a week in advance. However, I'm always there for texts and for calls. So if you call me, say for tomorrow, and you say, Jess, can you please come in just for a few hours tomorrow evening? I will try my best to get there. So, but yeah, so scheduling it has to be kind of flexible because as a new mom, you might not know when I should come. So that's why I don't really you can do a package, absolutely. And if you know me, that's a lot easier. But if you're not sure and you want to get to know me more, you can just do per visit for a little bit until you're like, you know what, maybe this is a awesome fit for us. Let's set up 15 days. And those don't have to be consecutive. They can be kind of spread out through your pregnancy. Sorry, or postpartum as well. Do you have any questions on the Zoom call?
I'm good so far, thanks.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, there's a lot of wiggle room in terms of your needs. So and everybody's different, and everyone's circumstance is different. So I work with a lot of moms who are single moms, moms who are struggling with fertility prior to pregnancy. I also work with. So that's another thing that I have experience with as well. So yeah, once you aren't pregnant yet, just bring that emotional support for them to support through their IVF treatments or whatever their situation may be. Because everyone has a different walk of life, and it's hard just to have certain services, like general services for everybody. So yeah. And if you guys have any questions after, I'll give you my card, and I also have. I don't know what time it is, so tell me if I'm talking.
You're okay.
Okay.
You still have 10 minutes.
Okay. So I have a list here that I've kind of compiled based on my experience and clients' experience, a diaper bag list. So I feel like sometimes you see lists and there's stuff on there that you don't even possible or remember. There's stuff that. So I have this for all of you guys. In yellow is if you have a scheduled cesarean. it just, so for instance, so diapers, instead of bringing 10, bring 30 because you might be there for longer. Especially now with COVID, people in and out of the hospital to bring you things that might not be as convenient. So in the yellow, that's more for like a scheduled C-section. Again, you don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping for an all-natural birth, to support your bodies, but that's what that yellow is. And it might seem like a lot too, but I've put things on there that I think would benefit you guys for hospital bags. So I put in baby bag, mom essentials. What else do I have in here? Mom recovery. So tank tops, like easy for nursing. So don't wear a sweater like this because it's just going to be too much. Breast pads, maxi pads, mom's recovery stuff for after baby. I have a dad list too. Dads forget things all the time. And they're going through similar emotions that you guys are going through as well, right? We're feeling the physical pain of things, and sometimes they're just not sure what to do and how to help you guys because they're not feeling that pain. They can see your pain and they can't help you necessarily. So for them, I just have a little list. For example, underwear, I've had some clients or some dads pee their pants because they were just so nervous. It sounds crazy, but just like one pair of underwear for them. Snacks is a really big thing to have because you'll just kind of always be hungry, and your spouse too will always. It's just something to do as well, I think, just like that nervousness thing too. What are some like big things? Lip chafe. I don't know if you like experience, but like it's very dry in the hospitals. And if you're there for longer periods of time, it's really dry. So anyways,
Put that on your nipples or something.
well, you know what? If it's organic,
Sorry.
go for it. So I do.
Just where my mind went.
I have so like diaper cream. I have some recommended. So whatever I have on here that's like diaper cream, that type of stuff. I can also recommend some if you gotta have like organic diaper cream. So that's that. Yeah. And I have a recipe for popsicles. Did you ever use them after babies? Yeah. So some women like don't need them. So don't go home and like freeze all these pads in the freezer. Like you don't have to do that yet. Even if you are close to your due date. Is anyone close to the due date? Like August, July, September, July. May 5th, and you're ending it mid-May? August, okay. So I would maybe only make like 2 or 3. Don't go crazy making all these because you might not even need them. Even if you don't necessarily need them, your recovery is going well, you don't have stitches, whatever the case may be, it just feels really good to put something cold on your vagina.
Yes.
After birth, regardless if you actually really need it. But I just do it, like it'll feel really good. Anyway, so there's like a little recipe there for you guys. And just things like witch hazel, lavender, and big pads. One thing I suggest too for, and any input you have too, I know you have kids, so if you want to say anything else, go ahead. I recommend Depends, or not Depends, there's like, those like nice like ladies underwear, and there's like, I don't know, they've changed the design on the label. It's like, what's it called? Like Sensation Beautiful Underwear, but it's really like Depends. Get some of those, I feel, because if you do have stitches, a pad on your underwear is going to rub on the stitches, and it might feel, it won't hurt, it'll just feel uncomfortable. So get a nice pair of undies. It Depends. They're going to help after baby.
And steal the squirt bottle.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Bring it home.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll squirt that on your vagina when you're typically going pee, or like I would do it every hour, an hour and a half if you can. When I say that, some people have no time, and that's totally okay. It's just basically a little squirt bottle that squirts up your vagina to just wash it out and make things go faster. So yeah, things that you what is that? But take it home with you, because or another bottle that works if you don't take it home or forget is like the hockey water bottles that like squirt. Those work, just but label it like I don't know. You never know. Like people are like, oh, water bottle today. But yeah, so those little things are super important. And again, if you hire your doula and they see you right after your birth, we're going to take a look at your recovery how your recovery is. Did you have a C-section? You're in the hospital for 3 days. You come home. It's good. The recovery is a lot different for a C-section versus natural birth, versus episiotomy. Like everything is, the recovery is different for everyone. So, and your medical provider, midwife or OB, will also give you something to follow as well for recovery. And one thing I really encourage is to have like a support person, whether it's myself or a mom or a friend, because you're gonna need that. Like day 3, your hormones are like skyrocket. Like your spouse might say, like, "What is happening?" But just make sure that you have that support person other than your spouse to contact, just someone you can say anything to, cry to, laugh. Like there might be some days you might laugh, cry, yell, scream. Your emotions are running high, right? So we want to make sure that you guys, as like, moms need to make sure that they're okay before they take care of the baby. Because if you're not okay as a mom, it's going to really be hard on the baby. And the baby can feel your emotions running high. So the happier you are and less stressed you are, and it's okay to feel nervous and anxious and sad and happy. Those are all normal things to feel. And then if you do have other kids, so maybe have some time for yourself too with baby. Have someone watch the kids for a little bit, even if it's just for an hour a day, something to have your mind relax. Continue yoga. That's really important. Again, talking to your medical professional, midwife or OB, kind of want to start physical activity again, and that depends. You've probably heard like around the 6-week mark. If it's a great recovery, things are going well, that's typical. But if you have a C-section, 6 weeks is not sufficient at all. So, but your OB and midwife can answer those specific questions when you can get back to physical activity or even just going for long walks. A lot of times too, if you think that you are feeling great, you just had a baby, you're ready to rock, don't. One of my clients told me it's like a Band-Aid. So when we get like a huge scrape on our leg, we put a Band-Aid on it and we can see that huge scrape. You can't see what's inside of you. It's like an invisible Band-Aid inside. So when you think, oh, I'm fine, I'm recovering well, my stitches are good, you still have a huge wound inside. You just delivered a baby. So think about it like that. Kind of think of it as a Band-Aid. If you had a huge scrape on your leg, you would have a Band-Aid on it, to help it recover. So think about it like that. If everything goes well, everything will go well. So don't think negative thoughts. Think positive the whole way through your pregnancy. That's going to help everything during delivery. So any questions? Okay, awesome.
Anybody else? No?
But if you do my cards here, contact me anytime. Right now I have a birth in July and I have a birth in August. You're on routine. So I typically do 1 birth a month. And that's because I don't want to run into a problem where someone goes 3 weeks early and then I have a birth. And then this probably will never happen. But then there's all of a sudden, so 2 births in 1 day. Like that probably won't happen. But I just kind of keep myself safe that way, just in case.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, I'll keep these here with you. I'll put them in here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I will just say, if you have the chance to do a doula, it's such a great thing to add onto like your self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Especially nowadays that we feel when we see so much stuff in the media, and like you get really empowered, etc., and you want to do things, and you want to do laundry, and you want to do this, and you want to do that, and you want to have everything perfect in the nursery and whatever. And all of that, when baby comes, it seriously just goes to the garbage, and you just cry, and you just feel super overwhelmed.
Yep.
And when you have somebody that is going to be supporting you, not that it's your mom or your sister or somebody that you know that you have to be a little bit kind with, and or your mother-in-law that is like trying to help you, but you don't like the way that she does things. Like, just have somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously.
And I do work with like extended family too. So if you do have that mother-in-law that you're like, oh my goodness, like she can be here every day.
Yeah.
We'll work together and we'll help.
Yeah.
The situation.
Yeah, and just really like recognizing and having that that time for you, even if it's just
Yeah.
a bath, and you don't have to be worried about baby crying or
Yeah.
husband not being like back from work or whatever.
Mhm.
Just having that support seriously is gonna change the way that you feel.
And being an open book too. Like
Yeah.
don't like that's why I be your doula. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate for any questions. Because that's super important to just have that communication.
So if you guys can't do it, why not? It's like a way of taking care of yourself and to also recognize that we need time. Like when baby comes, seriously, like we kind of like go somewhere else and it's just baby. So when somebody comes and helps, it's really nice just to have those little minutes for yourself.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
And I'm on call 37 to 40 weeks all the time with networking clients. So just so you know, I do. And your number's always in speed up, always, not just from 37. You never know. I'm always so my phone, it's always off, but all my clients I have set to ringer on their name. Like you can set people's name and it rings all the time, no matter what. So that's one of them. But it's just important for me to always take calls and to always call back, just so you never know, right? So, yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyways, my card's there with my website too, so if you want to take a look at more information, just feel free and
Thank you so much.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're going
Okay.
to
Okay.
sign this here. You guys are like,
Sorry,
we're gonna see.
we just were about to start fertility.
No
I know. After like
That
2
happened with my
years.
first.
Mhm.
I
I
went
was about
to
to do injections, and then we were just like waiting because we couldn't get that cycle in time, so we had to wait. So
that's so
I know.
awesome. Oh my gosh.
yeah, I was thinking about you and like that. I was like, oh, that's like your story. Like it was just right before.
Yeah, I went in because I was like, whatever, just and then I got my blood work done and they're like, you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Yes, but like I said, don't hesitate to call or text or however you want to contact me.
Okay.
Thank you, Jess.
Okay, bye everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Everybody have a business tonight with us. Thank you. And Jerita, just have do you have some rubber balls or any kind of molds?
I have one.
Awesome. That's okay. One will be enough. And I'm going to start with the therapy balls. So I want you guys to just lay down and grab that big bowl that I gave you guys. So that's the first. Yeah, you're going to need one of those ones and one of those ones. So 3 in total. But you don't need to have 3, Jerrica. You're fine. So what we're going to do is that we're going to lay down and we're going to bring one of those, the biggest therapy bowl in behind the head. We're going to bend the knees. If you need anything underneath your body, like a blanket or anything to elevate the hips, you're super welcome to set up something. And we're going to start with the feet hip distance apart and just bring that therapy bowl in behind the head. So what we're going to do is just super teeny tiny movements. This is a great way to release tension in the neck area. So keep your knees bent, place your feet in the floor, and you can totally regulate the pressure on it. Sometimes it's really nice to have kind of like a little triangle and just make like a little triangle in behind your head so your therapy ball doesn't slip all the way out. And I want you guys to close your eyes and just to take a few deep inhales there. And what we're going to do with the therapy ball is just relax and give ourselves a little bit of prenatal therapy. So has anybody heard about prenatal therapy before? Just wait on me if you have. No? So we basically are trying to work with the entire nervous system. What we do in here is that we are supporting and massaging into the back of the neck. And as soon as you start moving your head a little bit from side to side, like if you were saying no, you're gonna feel that there is a lot of tension in that area. So you have your therapy ball behind the head, and then you're just moving from side to side. Going ahead, and if you're just saying no. The more of an area that you work with, the more you're gonna feel it. And we want to set up the therapy ball in between the occipital bone, which is that bony part at the bottom of the head, and then it becomes neck. So it's bone and then soft part of the neck. And you can also move into a yes and a no, so you can move your head up and down. And can you guys tell me how you guys feeling? Are you guys feeling something in there? Are you guys feeling any tension? Mm-hmm. And can you guys breathe with that tension, with whatever you're feeling? If it's feeling kind of nice as well, you can stay in that specific area and just press against that area that you're finding that is really tense. So just breathing in and out for the last 4 or 5 inhales. So what they do with craniosacral therapy is that they work with the entire spine. And there's something believed that is called the Sushumna Nadi, which is one of the biggest energy channels in the body. If there is a little bit of a blockage, this is the place where we can kind of release tension. So let's just take your last deep inhale. And then from there, we're going to rotate into the left side of the body. So you're gonna grab your therapy ball and then you're gonna set it up right around your temples. So big therapy ball right around the temple area. And we're just gonna be in a fetal position. You can extend your left arm over the head, above the head. And you can start to do a little bit of movement also in there. You can move your head up and down. Or you can move it also from side to side, left to right. And just start to notice what you find. So left arm above the head, over the head. And you're just moving your head gently. Notice what you find. And if anybody has any kind of like a question or they're just like, what are you talking about, Espe? I don't even know what we're doing. Just wave at me and I can come over and help you to set up the therapy balls in the right position. And if you're feeling that tension, if you're feeling that in your temple area, just continue to move and breathe for a couple more deep inhales. You can move also towards the side of your head if it's something that feels quite nice. And is everybody feeling that? Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice, right? Just to massage into those areas that we don't even know there's so much tension. So let's take the last 3 deep inhales in here. And allowing the therapy ball to work with what we call the fascia. And let's slowly start to rotate back into our spine and then rotate towards the opposite direction. So going into the right side. So shift your hips over towards the left and rotate towards the right. Extend your right arm over the head. And then you can set up that therapy ball underneath your right temple area. And just place your left hand in front of you just to support you there. And you can start moving your head. You can try to also move into a circular motion, going like teeny tiny circles, because there is 3 different ways of working with therapy balls. So what we call the fascia, it's if you have ever cooked any kind of meat and you're trying to clean it or chop it, or even when you're eating, you find some areas that are really almost like a super thick elastic, and you can even see some of the textures like separating. That is what we call the fascia. It's usually white color, and we are made of fascia. So imagine that texture being like super, super, super tense or dehydrated. When that happens, there can be a lot of different things as a result. So we want to keep everything hydrated, movable, and that's why it's really good to work with therapy balls and myofascial release. So you can hydrate, you can create some more circulation and release any tension or any blockages in there. So let's take the last 2 deep inhales here, because we're gonna go towards a seated position. And then we're gonna use the other 2 therapy balls after we finish with our movement. Slowly start to press your left hand onto the floor and push yourself up little by little, coming into tabletop right away. And from tabletop, just make sure that you have your blanket maybe underneath your knees if you're feeling like they're quite delicate. And we're gonna look towards the front of the room and start moving into our cat-cow. So just going in here, inhale, looking all the way up, lifting up into cow. Exhale, slowly curve your back, bring your head down, chin towards the chest, press your hands firmly into the floor. Inhale again, try to lift up your spine, the tailbone, and then exhale, slowly, slowly moving opposite way. Last 3 to go. Inhaling, looking up, and then exhale, slowly curving the spine. Inhale through the nose again, lift up the crown of the head a little higher, tailbone high. Exhale, slowly microbend your elbows, bring your head down, chin towards the chest. One last time, inhale to look all the way up. And then exhale, slowly, slowly come back into center. And we're gonna do what we call cement truck movement. So we're gonna move your spine into circular motion. So you're gonna curve your back and go all around in here. I don't think we have done this one before, the cement truck, or have we done it? Just reminding. All right. So it's a very interesting one. It just allows your body to move in a different way. And then let's switch the directions to go opposite way. And it's really nice to imagine your arms kind of like doing the whole movement and your spine just collaborating in there. And you start to feel places that you didn't really knew that felt that way. So go for the last 2 or 3 rocking motions in there. And then we're gonna open up really, really wide knees in here to just place the elbows down into the floor. And just take your time in here to move into child's pose. If you feel like child's pose is just too much for you and that you get a little bit dizzy, you can always just stay right here, relax the shoulders. But if child's pose feels okay, come all the way down. Relax the head, hit the floor. And just notice in there, what are you finding? Where are you finding it? It's almost like if you were just checking in with your body. Are my shoulders tense? Are my hips a little bit tight? Taking 3 or 4 more inhales. And then on your own pace and time, let's come all the way up into a kneeling position. We're gonna grab one of your blocks and just place it underneath the sitting bones. You can bring it into the highest position, or you can bring it into the middle one. Whatever you guys want to do is totally, totally fine, but feel comfortable. So sitting bones go right on top of the block. We're gonna take a deep inhale, reach the arms all the way up towards the sky. And then exhale, drop your left arm down and try to reach as far as you can in there towards the side. So I'm just gonna go and mirror you guys. Just breathing in and out towards that right side of the body. And then we're gonna do 3 circles with your arms. So going for 1. It doesn't matter which direction because we're gonna go the opposite way in a minute. 2, and then one last one. And then just switch the direction, go opposite. And just allow your chest and everything around the body to really open up, especially when you breathe in. Inhale one last time. And then come back into center. Slowly drop that opposite hand into the floor. Reach over the head and just start with that little bit of a stretch. If you find that your hand is kind of far away from the floor, you can use your second block in that palm. And then slowly start to move into circles in here with that arm. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Bringing your attention inside the body and connecting with your breath and with baby. And then slowly go back into the opposite direction. Just take your time. And if you have to take a break at any moment or come a little bit higher, go ahead and do that too. It's your own postures, your own body, your practice. Come back into the center, take a deep inhale, reach the arms all the way up towards the sky. Interlace the fingers and push your hands all the way up towards the ceiling. Open up the chest in here and really squeeze into the shoulder blades, opening up the chest, the pectoral muscles, the spine, decompressing in there. Slowly dropping the hands back down towards the floor. So I want you guys to curl your toes in here. And we're gonna do a little bit of a toe opener. So this might be a little bit intense for you if you feel like you have really, really tight feet. So toes are gonna be curled because what we're going to be doing is trying to inhale and exhale and sit a little lower. So this is really good for glutes and for pelvic floor as well. And you're super welcome to bring the block a little higher as well. So the higher position, because it's always gonna be there for you, okay? So we're gonna inhale and reach the arms all the way up towards the sky. And then exhale, just try to hover, coming back down and not really sitting. Yes, inhale, come back all the way. And then exhale, coming back down, bring the arms down. Try not to sit, and let's go for 5 more. Inhale, lift it. And then exhaling, slowly going back down. Bless you. Inhale, lift it up. And then exhale, coming back down. Just hover if you can. If you need to sit, sit. Inhale, last one. Exhale, coming back down. And then let's inhale, reach all the way up. And then from here, close your knees a tiny little bit. Interlace the fingers. And let's reach over towards the right side. Index fingers pointing up, slowly, slowly. And then back into center. Slowly move towards the opposite direction. Notice how your knees and your hips, your pelvis, everything is stable. Come back into center. Reach your hands behind the body. Let's interlace the fingers in here or support the lower back. And then allow your chest to open up, going into a teeny tiny back bend. You don't have to go really far. Breathing in and out, squeezing the shoulder blades, and then coming slowly, slowly all the way back down. Bring your hands in the floor. Remove the block and let's move back into child's pose. You can bring the block in front of you and you can rest your head on top of it. If you're ready, slowly start to remove whatever prop is in there. We're going to walk the hands all the way towards the right side. So go as far as you can in there and allow the hips to open, allow the knees to open, and allow the chest to come a little bit lower. Trying to breathe towards the left lung in here. One more deep breath. And walk your hands opposite way, slow motion. Taking your time here to go as far as you want to. And then dropping your head as low as the body allows you to stop. Relaxing the intercostal muscles, the obliques. Taking the last 3 inhales here. And then coming back slowly into center. And making your way back into tabletop. We're gonna curl the toes in here and make your way into downward facing dog. So just take your time in here to go into down dog, bend one knee at a time. And allow the legs to tell you how they're feeling today. In down dog, notice the breath, notice the extension in your spine, and notice also the power coming from your hips and from your hands. You're pressing the mat away. Take one last deep inhale there. And then drop your knees back down into the floor. And let's extend your right leg all the way towards the back. Let's bend the knee, take a deep inhale, and try to lift up the heel as high as you can. And then exhale, slowly bring your head and your knee to touch. Maybe. Inhaling, lifting up. And try not to bend the elbows here. So notice how sometimes our body automatically tries to overcompensate. Inhale, lift up. If you're weak in a little bit of your glute area, then the body tries to compensate. So lift up one last time. Exhale it. And then one last one. Inhale to reach as high as you can. You can stay right here or try to find your balance. Lift up your left arm towards the front. If you're happy where you are, you can stay right there, or you can reach your hand behind you for a little bit more of a challenge. And right here, you can keep the leg. Try not to get a cramp. If it's too much for you, just stay right where you were. And then drop the leg all the way towards the opposite direction. So go as far as you can. Look over the shoulder. And relax the glute area after we work it out a little bit. One more deep breath. And then drop that knee back into where you started. Let's go into the other side. If you need a break, come into child's pose. Just rest your elbows, rest your wrists. And at any moment, whenever your wrists start to get tired, a good tip for you is to keep your fist in the ground. And then that's going to give you a little bit more stability. And extend your left leg now all the way towards the back. Take a deep inhale through the nose. And then on the exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, lift up higher. Exhale, bring that leg over towards the front. Inhale, lift up leg. Keep your foot flexed. Exhale, slowly going opposite way. Last 3 to go. Inhale, lift it. Exhale, slowly curve your spine. Press your hands or your fist into the floor. Inhale, lift up. Exhale it down. And in our next one, we're going to move into that little bit of a balancing posture. So lift the leg. If you're happy where you are, just reach your right arm over and try to use your core muscles. Remember, we are pregnant, but we're not weak on the body. The body is still strong. Reach your arm behind you there. Trying to find that foot. If you find it, awesome. If not, that's totally fine. Just keep your leg a little higher. Hold it there for about 2 more inhales. And then relax the leg, extend it, but cross it over towards the side. Plant your hands. If it's a lot for the wrist, you can always come into your feet, into your forearms. And it's the same feeling, except that you're taking care of your wrist. Once we start holding babies, the wrists also get tired from breastfeeding and bottles and all of that. Going for 2 or 3 more inhales. And then on your own pace and time, returning back into center. And let's come all the way into a seated position, taking your time to get there. So how's everybody feeling? You guys good? Okay, this class goes really fast. I don't like to have a short class. So we're just going to try that big therapy ball. We have been talking a lot about pelvic floor. Sometimes we get a lot of tightness in pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor gets reflected also into the hip area. So once your hips start hurting, or your lower back, or your piriformis, there's a really good technique that I want to share with you guys with your therapy balls. So sitting in a comfortable position, you basically just sit on top of the therapy ball. Sometimes you guys can try it. Sometimes it's just about sitting in it and just breathing with it underneath your body. And you can always set it up kind of like more into the front, and it's gonna be a little bit more tender, but you kind of work a little bit in there, just kind of moving from front to back or from side to side. And if you find that very, very tense area, it can be really tense, and you can just breathe in that specific area. So what we're doing is that we're trying to press against the tightness and release the tension, just like imagine with acupressure. So if you just press a little bit, you might be able to release something. So what I would recommend when you're doing this is just to have a really comfortable blanket and somewhere where you can just relax, and you can just sit and have some support from the arms. Close your eyes, breathe. You can even watch a show whenever you're at home if you want to work with something like this. But it's a really good one, especially when you start getting tightness around groin area, around hip area, around lower back, and you feel like your pelvis is kind of getting a little bit tricky. So I just want to share that one with you because everybody has very different bodies. Another good thing to do is to bring it not right underneath, but a little bit more towards the sitting bone area. So you can try that too. And right around the sitting bone area, or a little bit to the front, that is also part of pelvic floor. You're gonna feel like, oh darn, there's like a lot of tension in there and I didn't even knew about it, right? It can be almost painful. So just notice whatever you find, and it might give you a little bit of like a hint on how is your pelvic floor doing, okay? So we're gonna move into shoulders. Who carries a lot of tension on your shoulders? Yeah, shoulders and neck. So if you have long hair, I would totally recommend just to bring your hair all the way up. We're going to be working in the upper trapezius area. So the upper trapezius are basically where the strap from your bra is resting. So this soft part of between the neck and the shoulder, it's like always super, super tense, right? So having this at home or having a little bit of time with the therapy balls on your shoulders can do a lot of really good help for the neck and shoulder tension. So what we're going to do is to set up the therapy ball underneath. So basically this little part that you can hold with your hand, that's what we're going to be working with. You don't need to bring it really low. You just want to bring it right underneath in there when we go in the floor. We're going to set one in each side. And I'm just going to show you what we're doing. So once you go in the floor, you don't have to be like peeking, especially having a baby in the middle and going into abdominal work. It's not the easiest or the most comfortable. So you set up one underneath the left, one on the right. Usually if you cross your arms, it's a little easier as well. And once they're right there, you should be able to feel it right underneath, but it's not super, super deep because the deeper that you go, the more intense it's going to get. So you just get it right in there. Sorry, it's kind of slippery with my sweater. And first exercise is just reaching your arms up, going all the way back and all the way down. Inhaling up and then exhaling down. So don't go down just yet. I'm just gonna show you what we're gonna do after. So the next one is cactus arms, and we're gonna reach and then bring them arms back down. Third one, we're gonna do this, just moving up and down, like sad cactus, happy cactus. And then we're gonna move into one last one, where you can grab into opposite elbows, rock it from side to side. And the final one is gonna be seaweed arms. So your seaweed arms are gonna be your arms just moving all over around. I'm doing it very fast because I'm just demoing, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it when we get into it. So come all the way into the floor. In the floor and just rest in there and just set up your therapy balls, one in each side. And the great thing about being in the studio is that I can come around and help you setting up the therapy balls if you don't know exactly where to put them. Jerica, do just one at a time, one shoulder at a time, and you can just play a little bit with just shoulder rolling. And yeah, I'll guide you towards it. So once you have your therapy balls underneath, you guys can wave at me if you kind of don't know where to start. Let's extend the arms all the way in front of you first. Just extend them in front. Take a deep, deep inhale and start to reach them over the head, all the way to the back. And then exhaling slowly, mimicking the movement with your breath and bringing the arms all the way down. Inhale again and reaching all the way back. On the exhale, allow the hands to come back down and always keep your knees bent, because that way you're gonna find that there's a little bit more support coming from your lower back and your feet. Let's go for 3 more. Nicole, how's that feeling?
Good. Yeah, I just needed to put my tailbone on top of my blanket.
Yeah, that's good. And if anybody needs help, just wave at me, because I can come right now to set up your therapy balls. Last deep inhale, go all the way to the back, reaching the arms, and then slowly coming back into center. And let's bring your arms into cactus this time. So cactus arms in here. We're gonna reach above the head, and then slowly bring the arms back down into cactus. So your arms, your hands almost come to touch, fingertips touch over the head, and then slowly bring them back down. So it's almost like if you were gonna go into snow angel, but you're just doing cactus. And that should be enough for you to feel that tension that can be accumulated. Is everybody okay? Are you guys feeling that? Yeah? Does it feel kind of nice? It's like a sweet torture.
Yeah.
It's like a delicious torture, I always say. So just reaching in over the head one last time. And then exhaling, slowly bring the arms back down here. We're gonna grab into opposite elbows. And then from there, you can just roll in here from side to side. So drop the elbows towards the right, come back into the center, and let's go towards the left. And just really pull when you're going towards the right, pull with your left hand into the opposite elbow, then go as far as you can, slow motion, just moving the elbows from side to side. How's it feeling for you guys? You guys are allowed to do as much noise as you want to when you're doing this kind of work. Any sighs, any ouch, any bigger words are welcome. Take one more deep inhale right there. And then on your own pace, let's extend the arms all the way up towards the sky. And this is what we're going to imagine. We're going to imagine that we're in the bottom of the ocean and that your arms are actually seaweed. So what you want to do is imagine seaweed moving in water. It doesn't move really fast. It moves really, really, really slow. And it doesn't move from the wrist down. It moves all over around. So that means that your arms, your shoulders, your elbows, everything is moving. And you can move from left to right. You can move from back to front. You can move
in many, many, many ways. So just get super, super creative with your arms. Close your eyes and imagine those arms really getting movable. And how are the shoulders feeling? How are the upper trapezius feeling? And you keep on breathing while you're doing this. So the great thing about doing prenatal yoga and yoga in general is that we get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And we react a little less. So our nervous system, it's a little bit more relaxed when we get into uncomfortable situations, physically, emotionally, and mentally. So let's go for the last 3 deep inhales. And whenever you're ready, let's just slowly start to come back into center. Drop your arms beside the body. And let's just go for 5 roll-ups with your shoulders. Really go for over-exaggerating the movement. So rolling the shoulders towards the back 3 more times. Still using the therapy balls. And then just go from the front or the back to the front. So just really over-exaggerating that. How's that feeling? And you keep on breathing. One more roll in there. And then slowly removing the therapy balls. Keep your knees bent. And we're going to bring them underneath your lower back to finish our myofascial release, craniosacral and shoulder area. So lift up hips, bring them into the sacrum area. So the sacrum area is right where there's a big bony plate in there. I'm gonna get up and show you. And it's also where your jeans or your pockets from your high jeans will be sitting. So this is the sacrum right here. And what we want to do is just to set them up in there, and we're just gonna start rocking the hips from side to side. And you don't have to go really fast. You can go really slow from side to side. Feet are hip distance apart. And then from left to right, you can also switch the movement to up and down. So you roll your pelvis in and then pelvis out. So the movement goes here, inhaling, and then sticking tailbone out. So that's the movement. If you're doing this kind of myofascial release, this one is going to be working on a vertical way. So you're going up and down with verticals. If you go side to side, you're going to be moving into a horizontal motion. So that's the second technique. If you want to get really, really like working all of them, you can go into circular motions towards one side. And then you can go to the opposite way and circular motions as well. If all of that is a lot for your glutes, for your lower back, and for the many muscles that are in that specific area, then just having pressure against that area might be enough for you. So breathe in and out. And try to avoid the gluteus area. The glutes are really, really tense. And the gluteus are like very, very different muscles altogether. So the gluteus minimum, the gluteus maximum, there's the piriformis, there's also your IT band, and your sciatica. So going into the glutes, maybe not the best idea when we're pregnant, especially if you have tender backs. So removing the therapy balls whenever you feel ready. Lift up your hips and then bring your knees into the chest and just give yourself a little hug in there. Open up your knees wide so you can get your knees close to you. And this is the moment where we're going to either happy baby or just rocking here from side to side. And that is the end of our practice. We're moving into your final shavasana now. So just allow the legs to start to come all the way down towards the floor and relax completely. Knees can rest into each other as well if you find that knees extended are not your thing. And I just want you guys to have a couple moments in there to breathe and relax. If you have to be somewhere, I have to tell you that it's already 7:08. So if you have to pick up your kids or anything, your dog, yeah, just letting you know that we're a little bit late. And your therapy balls are really a great way of taking care of your entire body. Today we just use them on shoulders and lower back and the neck area, but you can use it all over the body. I love the idea of using them on feet, especially when we get water retention or inflammation, on the calf muscles, on the quads, everywhere. So allow your body to relax here for the last few deep inhales. And have a beautiful night.